Hello, everyone. I'm gonna have to go to the channel and make sure you all can hear me because I have no bearings on what if it's working or not working. Let me see. Let me see. Yes, it's working. There we go. Okay. What happened was we invited the Bangla- Bangladesh founders, and some cameras were working. Well, none of the cameras were working. They had an outage, so there was a technical problem. So we worked on it as much as we could, and then we decided we're going to postpone it. We might, we'll have it next Saturday, and whatever we got to do, we'll make it so because we could hear them but not see them, and how can you shine the light on others if you can't see them? So anyway, that's what happened there. But there's always something to talk about with Onpassive. And what I want to do is let me put on the chat so people can see, I can see what's going on with the peoples. So I apologize for that. It's called technology. Ba boom. There's Zaba. Anyway, they'll be on next week. Um, no problem. And Abba, you're here. We could record a Bangladesh meeting on O Connect anytime that's good for you guys and Robin, and play it next Saturday. Okay, just so you know, keep that in mind. So if you guys have a better time for you and Robin's available and I'm available, we could do it anytime. Anyway, so hurrah, hurrah, hurrah for technology and electricity. Pretty important things we have to do this. So anyway, like I said, we've been for the last 4 or 5. Well, I've been trying to do it probably for years, but big emphasis on putting the light on other people that are behind the scenes, and this is what I want to say. Behind the scenes doesn't mean you're at a lower level. It just means you're supportive, and without the support, we have nothing. That's what I still got people coming on from Bangladesh. They're finally getting on, but none of the cameras are on. Um, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep doing that. Uh, Different countries, different people. I'm trying to go around to different webinars now, ones that haven't been to for a long time. I was in Yvonne Mundu, I think her name is. I always bash up names, but she had one. She has them on Fridays. Excellent time. Excellent. Very unbelievable people, diamonds in the rough, and a lot of them are going to be coming on too. So we have many Saturdays that we can fill. Okay. Also, again, I want to emphasize stuff. You're going to see news from around the world. You're going to see news from Onpassive Dubai, Onpassive Egypt, Onpassive wherever. You're going to see it everywhere. But keep in mind, always keep in mind, if it's direct information that you need to know, it will come from the back office, Mr. Mufara, or a webinar from the company. Really, I mean, there's good. It's good to celebrate with them and for them because they're amazing people. But don't take it. Oh, this means for me, and it doesn't in most cases. Indirectly down the road, yeah, you're building the foundation of Onpassive. But let's remember, Onpassive is a huge, huge uh, company and has many tentacles and many different aspects. Most we don't even know. That's the beauty of the company. I love the idea of knowing it's big. We know what we know, and it's huge. That's already mind-boggling, as Mr. Mufara would say. But I believe what we don't know, and I've said this, is even bigger than what we do or we think we know. So, and we're part of it. Just add that part at the end. We are part of it. We are leaning our arms and hands on the table of greatness. We're in the room. It would be like being in the room with Edison when he turned that light bulb on for the first time. Amazing, amazing stuff. And we're part of it. I know while you're in the journey, some of us are not getting the full benefit of it because we're worried about things going on in our life, and I understand that. I mean, obviously we all have life, and sometimes that life can be pretty crappy. And Onpassive moving on and getting going can change a lot of that. But let's remember, we want this thing to go when it's ready to go, when it's actually ready. Listen, I've been in many companies, nothing compared to this, but they would go, I waited like maybe 30 days or 60 days for a launch. And because they didn't have the right foundation or all their everything ready to go correctly, within 60 days they were gone. Onpassive is talking about running for years and years and years to come, past most of our lifetimes. And that is unbelievable. So fantastic. Okay. I'm going to get Robin in the conversation. Robin's with me. Oh, by the way, let me give you a little update. Chris called, and he is on his way back home. And he should be home probably 5 or 6 o'clock tonight, Eastern time, which is beautiful. So he just called me. He's on the road, and that's good news. I'm glad he's going home. He's glad he's going home. Trust me. Anyway, wow, Robin, more and more people are popping in. Their cameras are on. Can you believe that? I don't know what's going on now.
I think staying with what you've decided is the best way to go, Marty.
Yeah, because it's too mumble jumbled now. I would rather just do that privately.
And Alva can speak to them and explain the situation and make it more convenient for them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want them seen. I want them heard. It's important. I don't want a voice and they don't know who it is. That's not really shining the light, you know? So
exactly.
So Robin, we have a conversation here because of your experience traveling around the world and meeting different people and knowing different cultures and all that. And the really crazy thing, Robin, is my previous life, is how I want to say it, I traveled around the world. I met different people. It was just in a different environment. I was going to companies and training and building. They were building equipment, and I would help start it. And then I did a lot of training with people that did not speak my language. I had an interpreter, but I was able to learn a lot about other cultures and people. And like you know, everybody wants the same thing. So if you could touch on that, how Onpassive is kind of, for me and you, I believe, filled that void of what we missed the most, and that was traveling different people and meeting different people and cultures, and it helps you understand people in Onpassive.
Absolutely. Thanks, Marty. Sad that we weren't able to have the Bangladesh today, but I think it's because Chris couldn't be with us as well. So it's not that he's been taken out of this. I was just keeping his seat warm until he was able to join. So it looks like this is going to work out for everybody. So thank you for still having me on here with you. And let's continue to send prayers for Chris and his family, as we do for everybody else we care about and we know are going through challenging times as well. Travel is an amazing thing. And to be able to get out there. Now, again, like Marty, that was in my previous life. But overall, the experience of travel and traveling it's so amazing. It's so incredible. Not only do you get to experience different cultures, you meet different people, you see beautiful historical monuments, and you learn about the history. but you get a chance to really interact with something else. And sometimes it's even to show and to help us be even more grateful and appreciative for what we have in our own backyard and in our own homes. But sometimes we can even step out of that knowing that we have the safety net of returning home to modern technologies, to the modern life that we have, but we can actually see and just enjoy and appreciate what other people do in other parts of the world in different circumstances. To be able to travel and interact with other people, even with a smile, even if you don't speak the language, I have found that being able to say hello and to say thank you and to smile open doors like you wouldn't believe. Knowing that I was able to return home to modern technology, to my family, with memories of what is out there. So all of that is what I thoroughly looked forward to every time we had a turnaround, which is what we called it when guests left the ship and we had new ones coming on. So for 20 years, I traveled around the world, as many of you know. Bangladesh actually is a country I have not been to, and I look forward to going to because of all the wonderful people that we've met through Onpassive. And I think this was a big part of what attracted me to Onpassive when Ash was speaking at the very beginning when I heard him, was that he was hoping to unify, bring together, introduce people to each other, introduce the world to each other, and to continue expanding through the heart, through a oneness of being able to help others and help ourselves, but to make the world a better place. And I know that might sound a little corny, it might sound a little silly, but there really are people out there who believe that there can be a better world, and it really does rely on us to do this. So when I think about Onpassive and I think about all the countries that it's touched, all the people of different backgrounds, of different education, of different society levels within their own countries, I really truly feel blessed because in a small way, all of you are getting to share and experience what Marty and I experienced live in person. And I know that as soon as the finances start flowing and everything is sorted out in our own backyard, and we're able to then go out and extend it to our families and to our friends and everybody else that we want to help and assist, travel, I'm hoping, is going to be a big part of everyone's lives because they're going to want to meet each other and to be able to travel to those countries to meet founders in those countries is going to be so exciting. Now, the world now, in terms of weather and climate, as well as environment, as well as political aspirations or challenges, is quite different to what it was 20 years ago when I left the ships because of the accident while I was forced to leave. But it's even more different than 20 years before that when I started on the ships. So I have a span of 40 years of travel experience and seeing the world change. And I need to get back out there myself to see what the world is like now. I have amazing memories, but I also know that a lot has changed. And I look forward to seeing those changes, and I look forward to just being back in the world again and living. Marty, where do you want to go from there? I think the unification, the unifying of all of us through Onpassive, I think is one of the biggest gifts that we've received from Ash, over and above the Onpassive ecosystem itself. Do you agree? You're muted.
100%, Robert. I believe that if we look at the given to me is we're going to have the best quality, highest technology, AI induced products on the planet. We are following and working with the best CEO that a person could want to work with. Those are givens for me. He has surrounded himself with the best of the best in every field. We don't even know how big this field is, but everybody we do know is amazing how big and how many people it has covered. So let's go into what we have control over. That's for me, that makes it's easier for me to when you know that 99% of everything is taken care of, there's no reason for me to spend a lot of time telling you how good, how great is. Hey, this is great. You know it's great. You know that the minimum standard of everything in Onpassive, if it's not today, will be minimum the quality level of O Connect that we have right now, which is above any other video conferencing platform. So what can we do as Onpassive people, as um, early bird people that were able to be partners in this? And I mean partners that don't have any vested interest. We're here because we're blessed. What can we do now? I believe that the best thing I can do, the most productive thing that I could do, is because I do have a mouth and it works pretty well, and I'm on a platform where I do this every day, is to bring people on, put them on that platform, and let the world see who they are. So when we can reach across, whether it's Bangladesh or India or Africa or wherever, and because I go to different webinars, and because you have pointed out people, Chris has pointed out people, some of those people pointed out people, hey, this person or this person, this man, this woman, whatever, this, and you go and you say, people need to know that person. And I'm not saying it's not everybody, but some stand out not trying to. Like that's just who they are. And I said, wow, I want the people to know. Then you find out you have a whole meeting of people, which is my case in the last few weeks, where I go to a meeting like I did yesterday, and everybody stands out. And you're going, whoa. Then I want to get those people because that I can control this. This is an impact I can help. This is something I can have something to do, is get them on a platform, let the world know who they are. They can let the people know who they are. And I think that's powerful. I always look at Onpassive like an apple. And an apple has a core. It's usually not that big. But since I've been in Onpassive and we look at this apple and we hear the word core, the core is growing. And I believe we guides, servers, and Onpassive, I don't want to say leaders because that's not determined by me, but servers and people that help can make that core bigger. There's nothing more important to me than when you peel this apple, you're at the core. The core becomes the whole apple. That's where strength comes by. That's how you get the strength of the company. This is what I believe my whole life. What because I believe this, I failed in MLM. I didn't fail because I can't market. I didn't fail because I couldn't build teams. Because myself, Mike, and Don built teams of thousands, thousands and thousands in different companies, rebranded ourselves 50 times, built the people, brought in the people. But I learned during that journey that if the company's good, just good, and we could work on the people, we would be unstoppable if we could work with the people. What happened was the company was never good. But I went from not good in a bad environment, caring, I really truly care about people, to a company that people are number one. Now I went, holy cow. I can take what I know, slam people in here. Why? Because The other part that I've worried about all my life is fantastic. Nobody cares more about people than Ashwin Farah. The quality that he's going to take care of and all the heavy lifting and all the crap that none of us want to do or even probably can do is taken care of. So now I can focus on what I love is the people. Are there some people that I probably don't love as much? Absolutely. But I do not focus on the ones that that are negative. It's a waste of time. But to be able to get people like the Bangladesh people and like Abba's like a sister from another mister. I mean, we became family. I became family with you, Robin, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was. I didn't know you. And we met because of Onpassive. So we want a strong company, which we have, and we want to make it stronger, that it goes generations. Our unity and us being a big core can have this go 100 years. Well after we're gone. Because you make a culture of things rock solid. Not to get into spiritual or Bible, I want to say, like in the Bible, Peter was told, upon you I'll build my church because you're a rock. We have a rock solid group of people in Onpassive. And we can pile on that rock and make a boulder. And from a boulder, we make a universe. And anybody that comes in at any angle, even if it's a dart or a shot, something nasty, it doesn't hurt Marty, it doesn't hurt Roy Davies, it won't hurt Robert Santillo, it won't hurt Martin Pierre, everybody here, because why? We're all linked together. And I don't mean just linked, it's tight, it's family. Do we fight? Yes. If you're part of if you don't fight or argue or disagree, you're not a family. But it's what we do after. It's what we do the long term. No matter what argument I might get into with somebody and I'm passive, it's like family. You forgive and say, okay, whatever, it's over. But I believe that and I remember Ash for the first time said, I will get a webinar together, and I said, okay, I've got a list. Yeah, give a list. Of course, 5 minutes later, he says, no, here, get this person, and he starts telling me anyway. So we do it, and he said, this is one of the first time I heard he said it. Make sure you invite furniture. And I went, what the frick is he talking about? But when he said it, he said, someone you'd feel comfortable sitting in the living room with. I went, wow, that makes sense. So the furniture that we have now is enough for a really, really big living room. But if you look at Onpassive and you look what you heard that happened in Egypt from Dr. Tarek, or you look at what's going on in Dubai and the AUE, and you look at what's going on all around the world, we're just slowly getting bigger and bigger. Look at that as a living room. And what Ash wants is to be able to fill that living room with furniture or people he can trust, people that trust him. He can't look back and the company doesn't make you who you are. Robin Noble was Robin Noble way before she got here. So was I. But I went in a lot of companies, and the person I developed in being, I never felt 100% comfortable opening up like I do here. And I believe that's the same thing for the people I mentioned just now, and the people in the chat, and the people that are watching. That this is a place where they go, they stick their head out and go, I feel safe. And then what happens? They mold themselves into, in Chris Johnson's case, a love seat. I'm joking. But we all become part of this furniture of this massive, massive living room area. I mean, I know that way of explaining is probably pretty stupid, but I'm just trying to get it where people understand they're all part of it. I don't care who you think you are. And I want to say something else. I said this last night, and I mean this. Keep in mind, when you go to a webinar and someone You come up, you speak, you don't want to speak. Sometimes people can read your potential before you can. Some people think you're a diamond while you still think you're a pearl. And given the right conversation, given the right area, given a little bit of edification, a little bit of nice conversation, you might find out that you're not a stool, you're a full grown 7-person couch. Okay. And I mean that because I've seen it. I've seen people that just want to be a lampshade, but in reality, they're the whole lamp, they're the whole enchilada. And I think Onpassive gives them, it doesn't make them. And listen, you don't all want to be the same furniture. I'm that big clunky recliner, okay? You don't need 50 of those, it's too big. But everything in the room matters. And I believe this room is forming out to be a work of art. I really do. I think we're looking around and you find your own lane. A lot of people seem to think, well, that's you, Marty. That's good for you, but what about me? Well, I think you have something I don't have. Prime example, I met Mike Ellis and Dan Street 10 years ago. I was marketing. I couldn't take what I had to say about something important and put it in 6 minutes. You can't use a 50-minute tape. Nobody will watch it. Mike Ellis could do it. He's the best, in my opinion. I can't take what I have to say and feeling in my heart and put it on paper. Dan Street can. I surrounded myself with people that were better than me and other things. First thing you got to do is swallow your pride and realize, because once you're looking for best or the greatness in people, you have to get rid of your pride. The best so-called servants or leaders or whatever you want to call them surround themselves with people that are better than they are. And that's a beautiful thing. And a lot of people are better than me, but the outcome is what I want. I want the company to be gigantic with a whole house furnished. Even if I have to back off as being the toilet. I know I went too far. But the point is, it doesn't matter. I know who I am. But if you can keep helping and build this, it's a beautiful thing because I'm watching it happening. I remember, I'm going to say a couple more things, Robin. I'm sorry I'm babbling, but like you started this. But I remember when we got together, myself, Mike, and Dan, and we'd be in a meeting with Ash. This is before we were LC or whatever you want to call it. And I would listen to what he's saying. We would get back together. We would decode it, and Mike could make a video. And the video sounded. This is how in tune we became. We didn't realize it then, so don't think we were Einstein. When the video was done, we were so in tune with paying attention that the video told the truth, 99.9, but it told the truth about what's coming. And we did not know. How we found out is when the future came, we looked back at the video, what we said, and it looked like we knew, and we didn't. That's how you get in tune. That's how you become Onpassive. Look at what you know, lay it down as a puzzle. If it's a 10,000 piece puzzle, which Onpassive is at least that, even though there's a bunch of pieces missing, if you really look close, you can see the picture of Onpassive, even with pieces missing. And I think everybody here are starting to focus on what they have control over and letting go of what they don't. And I think that matters. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Robin, because I won't stop talking. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'm so pleased that you've never been a Robin, because my sister would say that more than one of me is more than enough. But for Marty to say that he's, a couple of people caught that in the chat and had a good laugh. our minimum quality with Onpassive, as you said, is great. There are not many companies, there are not many areas anywhere that you can say that. That's the bar that's been set. That's the level that we are starting with. And each one of us is rising to that great bar in our own way. And many people don't realize that. Onpassive is not, as Marty has said many, many times, Onpassive is not making you. Onpassive is helping to bring out your qualities, your good qualities for the most part. And that's the beauty of what this is. Onpassive has been created through the heart for people. And people with heart resonate with this. People with heart have been drawn to this. And that's why we have so many people who are engaged. That's why we have so many people who want to be involved with Onpassive in all its shapes and sizes and everything else. Focusing on people is something I have done all my life before Onpassive. And we forget sometimes. We're so involved and excited with Onpassive. Sometimes we forget that we actually had a life before Onpassive, because everything is just Onpassive now and it's so normal and natural. But remember, each one of you, each one of us around the world had a life before Onpassive. Onpassive has come into our life to enrich it, to stretch us, to teach us, to show us what's possible out there. And we have all added our own flavor to it, our own parts of ourselves to it, to make it part of us, to make the whole thing viable, live, connected. So don't sell yourself short. We mustn't forget who we were before Onpassive. But through the examples of CEO and what he's wanted to do, he has helped us to sometimes dig deep and sometimes to just continue and just acknowledge what and who we are anyway. I have always listened, and I've always watched, and I've learned, and then I've spoken. That's just who I am. Sometimes it's because I'm shy, sometimes it's because I'm in unfamiliar territory, and sometimes it's just because that's what I do. But I remember being very intrigued with all the countries that I've visited. And it's, I sometimes feel that I have to rein myself in because of what I've done in my life. And I'm not apologizing for it, but sometimes, and I've been told this by a couple of people, how can you always have a comment about a country or a situation when somebody else is talking and then they ask you to comment? I've lived life, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I cannot apologize for that, because that's who I am, and that was who and what my life was. And each one of us holds that kernel of who we are fundamentally in ourselves in Onpassive now. And that's what we are sharing and helping people with. Can't stand that word sharing, but that's what we are showing and giving and helping other people. And with Chris and Marty doing the Shine the Light lives, that's what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to show people, other people who are just as magnificent and who maybe don't see it themselves. So all of these amazing countries that I've been to, all these amazing sites, all these amazing activities, events, experiences that I've had in my life, coming up to 64 years, a third of it was learning, a third of it was growing up, a third of it was traveling, a third of it has been disability and finding a new area for me to feel comfortable and move forward in. Sometimes there are many, many people who are not as old as Marty and me. And there are others who've lived even more lives, more years, and have got more experiences. So let's cherish what we have done ourselves, but let us talk freely about what we've done and who we are. Don't be embarrassed. But also, we have to realize we cannot blame Onpassive for the situations that we are in. Life happens. And the choices that we made prior to Onpassive maybe led us to Onpassive, but then it did not, Onpassive did not change the course of what we were doing fundamentally, if that makes sense. We still have to be responsible for our lives. We cannot blame Onpassive for the joys, the deaths, the weddings, the disagreements, the unhappiness that is out there. We contribute to that. We make that ourselves. And through our decisions that we've made all throughout our lives, we are now where we are at. And I know that in my situation, as an example, I was devastated after the accident. There were many years right afterwards, I didn't know who I was, where I was, what I was going to do, and how I was going to do anything. I did not have a particularly good medical support. I didn't have a very good prognosis for my future. I had to find ways of finding out who I was. And slowly but surely I did. And like Marty, trying different companies and industries and ways of doing things, the only way I could do it was through my voice and through speaking. Marty has talents. Dan and Mike Ellis have talents in other areas. Mine, for me, was my voice. So I listen to people. I make suggestions when I'm asked. And I can see sometimes the bigger picture of what somebody else cannot see, of what they want to do or how they want to do things. So find your gifts, acknowledge your gifts if you know what they are already, and honor yourself. That's what this is all about. So this part of the journey that we talk about, yes, there's an educational component to Onpassive, but there's also a huge educational component about ourselves and about our families and about our loved ones and about our desires and about our wants and our dislikes. We have to be honest as well. We don't want everything. We don't like everything. We don't like everybody. And that's all right. It'd be horrible if the world was beige. This way we've got color. Literally, physically, figuratively, we've got color in our world. And we need to embrace that. We need to see the beauty in that color, not only of skin. I'm talking of everything. So let's support each other. Let's continue to do what we can to support Ash, of course, to support Onpassive, of course, to support each other, and to raise each other up wherever possible. Support, encourage, help, not telling people what to do, because we don't know other people's circumstances. Just because I can see somebody being really good at fishing, if they don't want to fish and don't like the idea of putting a fishing rod in the water and sitting on a boat, then, I'm not going to be the one to tell them to do that, and they're not going to listen to me. Why would they? So I don't know what piece of furniture I am. I could be a microphone or a blowhorn. And Marty, you cannot say anything else out loud. We're live. But I'm just happy to be part of this with all of you. And I'm happy to have found a voice that sometimes I too can go on a bit and get excited about things. And we're fortunate to have each other that we can speak to and have conversations about things. And Marty, I give it to you before I go round again.
I know. The worst two people you can have on a live. No, we have a lot of conversations, but I found that the conversations and people listening in is probably the best way. I have conversations with many people that are in the attendees right now. But anyway, yeah, so remember, focus on others, lift people up, put them above yourself, because it's going to help you, it's going to help the company, and you'll feel better. Lifting people above yourself is like giving. When you give, it just releases things in your body that's good for you. It's one of the best vitamins you could possibly take. I know, because I feel good every time I do it. Like I said, we'll get back together with our family in Bangladesh. We'll overcome, and we'll have a nice webinar with them. Um, I want to thank Robin for being here. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of conversations away from here, which I can vent and I learn because Robin's one of the people I can throw anything at, and she works it up in her head and throws it back. And usually, what comes back makes me think, and that's a good thing. You're getting older. You got to think more. You got to work out the brain. Obviously, I haven't done a very good job of working out with the body, but anyway, thank you everybody for being here. Now remember, Redfern will be on at 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Redfern will be on 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time, and I want to give a shout out to Red. He worked with me while Chris was gone. Fantastic job. I've known Red. Oh my gosh, I don't know, 8 years. Um, of course, he's not Chris, and he thanks God every day for that. I'm just kidding. Chris is my little brother. So, yes, I'm going to admit it in front of everybody here. I miss him. Okay, let me take that back. What a lie. I'm just kidding. I do miss him. Anyway, we'll see you all. Abba, I'm probably going to call you after this because I want to say, oh, Chris put down, she's always right. Yeah, that's what we were talking to Ash one day, and he said it. Hey, Robin's always right, and that we never lived that down. Never. Okay, so Robin's always right. Anyway, thank you all for being here, and I really had a good time, even though it wasn't what was planned. But I think we did okay. Would have been better if things worked out. But remember, everything's temporary. We'll be back, and it'll be a very, very, very good webinar with our Bangladesh people. Robin, say something in closing, and I'll shut it off.
Absolutely. Marty, thank you for this. Always a good time with you when we're talking. Chris, your seat has been warmed. I'm giving it back to you. You and Marty reign, and I was just stepping in while you were looking after things. Safe travels home, and everybody have a wonderful weekend. It's also Father's Day weekend here in North America. And so for all the fathers, those who are with their families, those who cannot be with their families, we send lots of love. We appreciate the fathers. We also know that many fathers are in a lot of pain, and we just hold them in God's love as well and help that and trust and believe that things will work out for everybody. Have a great weekend. Marty, thank you for all that you do. Chris, thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, and see you. Lord's will, I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Don't forget, Red, 11:30. Okay.